Today's video is sponsored by Mainphase. Mainphase makes a bunch of apparel, outer sleeves, and other products, as well as sell sealed product on their shop. They made these amazing Aquamaiden sleeves, and just look at how gorgeous they look with these Tearlament cards, y'all. They are just absolutely awesome, and really well priced too. Only $25, and you can get yourself a pack of 70 of these, and they are just amazing quality. I usually don't put outer sleeves on my deck, but on my main deck anyways. But the way that these shuffled just actually really felt good. It kind of feels like the classic player's choice if you ever shuffled them. Usually I just use them for the extra deck, but they just looked so good on the Tearlaments I had to see them in the other sleeves. So let's get into the deck profile for the day. So if you're anything like me, you spent way too much money on the Tearlament Ishizu deck when it came out, and the ban list crippled our bank accounts. But that's okay, because I was like, you know what, I spent too much money on this deck to give up on it. I'm going to give it one last go. And in playtesting, this deck has been absolutely phenomenal. I cannot wait to take it to the regional. I really hope you guys enjoy this deck profile, so let's get right into it. So for the Tearlament monsters, we are playing 3 copies of Rhino Heart, 1 copy of each of the fusion names, and 3 copies of Tearlament Kashtira. So, this engine has unfortunately been crippled and we are down to a 9-card package. So in order to supplement that a little bit more, I am running a playset of Fenrir. I tried to stray away from the Kashtira build as much as possible, but Fenrir is too powerful to ignore. It lets us search for our own Tearlament Kashtira, while also being able to open up some rank 7 plays and also additionally create another line of interruption that this deck actually is going to need now that we are missing Sprite Elf, as well as our Kit Kalos. So for the non-engine cards, we are playing a playset of King of the Swamp. King of the Swamp is allowing us to search for our OG polymerization, while also being an extra name. Some versions could even opt to play Guardian Chimera. Unfortunately, I did not think that that was optimal, but it is an option there. It's basically our way to get to our Tearlament Rule Kalos now, which is definitely our main boss monster. Kaleido Heart's good, but we definitely need the Rule Callus to prevent our opponent from using Nibiru, since Nibiru's popularity has gone up. Next up, we are playing a playset of Diviner of the Heralds, as well as our 2 fairies. You may have noticed that I am not running the shufflers. Every time I played them, they just felt really clunky now, just because it is the one of, and I just didn't like bricking. So I ended up cutting them. I'm not saying they're bad, I'm just saying that they're really not what this deck needs. You're not going to get a lot of mirror matches in this format anyways, and there's not really too many decks outside of Springans that you're really going to need to shuffle things back. And then for our flex spot in the monsters, we are running the Shadal Beast, which gives us access to a draw 1, as well as us being able to get to Winda. Shout out to Super Insane. Really liked his version too with the toy vendors. I just wanted to try this one as well, and so far in playtesting, this deck has been super strong, y'all. Alright, so for the spells, we are running the Primeval Planet, Foolish Burial, and Terraforming. This is just basically extra engine pieces. I was running Reinforcement of the Army for a while, but I've decided against it. We draw the Rhino hard enough, and if we see Diviner and Rhoda, it just feels really slow, so ended up cutting the Rhoda. Alright, so for our last Tearlament card, of course, spell card, we also play the Tearlament Scream. But, so for this format, there's an elephant in the room, right? Kashtira is really powerful this format. It's at full power, while we are not. So, we have to play a lot of outs. So I am playing 3 copies of Super Poly, 3 copies of Triple Tactics Talent, and Triple Tactics Thrust, and 1 copy of Triple Tactics Talent. Thrust is mainly just so that we can get to the talents if we need it. We really don't like seeing too many of them in our opening hand, so that's why we're doing the 3-in-1. It'll also let us search for Imperm if we need to, which we are playing a playset of. And I'm even siding things like a Pointer of the Red Lotus right now, just because this card is so powerful. And then for our last 2 traps is the 1 Crime and the 1 Celiac. This is just the most optimals I played. I was testing Meta Noise. I'm probably going to get roasted this, but in this version, I'm also not playing Foolish Burial Goods. So Meta Noise just felt really lackluster to me. Every time I've seen it, I wish it was better. It is a good card. I just don't think it's what we need exactly right now. So for the extra deck, we're only doing the 1 Rule Kalos and the 1 Kaleido Heart. We're able to spin back the Kaleido Heart enough when we need to make our Dragos Stapelia. So if they do end up outing it, we can just fuse with it to get it back. And then for our super poly targets, we are playing the Garura, Mud Dragon, and the Predoplant Dragostapelia. They're just the best targets for us, as well as we can just hard make this. And then for the last two fusions, I am playing one El Shadal Winda. And then for the flex spot in the extra, this is my neat little tech that I'm doing. It's Invoked Caliga. So what this card does is it makes it to where our opponent can only attempt to activate one monster effect per turn and can only attack with one monster per turn. So if they even attempt to activate it and we negate it, let's say, for example, we negate it with Roll Callous, then that's it. That's their turn is over. If we negate the card with Baron de Fleur, that's it. Their turn is over. They can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! Anymore. So this card has been like pretty cool in playtesting. It's what I'm playing over Abyss Dweller right now. You can play pretty much anything you want in this flex spot, but Invoke Caliga has been kind of ignorant. And then let's get into the Link monsters. We have one Sprite Sprint and one Dark. This is just too good to mess up on. It helps us win in time while also being able to make a bunch of other pretty cool cards, as well as being able to take their Dark monster and then be able to Xyz with it if we need to. There's all kinds of applications here, like in the Labyrinth matchup, so I just felt like they were too good to cut. And for the Xyz monsters, we are playing a pretty big Xyz package in this deck. You will also notice that I play all the Ultimate Slayer packages. So, but let's get into this. So we play the one Redoer, one Baguska, and that's it for the rank 4s. I don't think Dweller is as necessary this format as it was last format. Baguska helps us crack the Kashtira board by going into that, and then going into our Zeus, and we're also not playing Keldo or Kelbeck, so it's really hard to depend on level 4s, and Redoer is what's going to allow us to summon Kaleido Heart on our opponent's turn when we make it with Rhino Heart and Sheeran, or Rhino Heart and Kelbeck, etc., and it's also going to trigger the effects, so it's pretty strong. And then we have the one Shangri-La and one Arise Heart. We almost never make the Arise Heart, because usually people can out the Shangri-La before it gets back to our turn, but if they can't, they just lose. So we can go into the Arise Heart on the following turn, and we can also summon our Tearlament Kashtira and mill and profit with that. So these cards are absolutely mandatory. They've been so impactful for the deck, and it's really the only way for the deck to keep up. And then, of course, the last card we are playing is the one Divine Arsenal Zeus. So yeah, that's it for the deck, y'all. I'm not going to show off the side deck quite yet, because, well, Regionals is coming up, and I did just give y'all my deck list. So, this is what I am committed to playing. This deck is actually insane. I cannot wait for Regionals in Duluth if you guys end up coming up there. Please stop by and say hello. Don't forget to check out Main Phase in the description box below. I will link them directly to these sleeves, as well as their Onbu Black Ops sleeves that they just released. And this is Gores, signing off.